Hey y'all, Joe Sylvia here again. Wasn't planning on making another video today, but after I made yesterday's video, the OCC decided to come out with its proposed regs on implementing the Genius Act and stablecoin issuers. So um, they put out, which will be published in the Federal Register at some point in the not too distant future, uh, a document that is their notice of proposed rulemaking to implement the Genius Act. And as opposed to the FDIC's initial proposal, the OCC's proposal is much more robust and really does establish what we see as a more traditional, fulsome regulatory framework, whereas the FDIC's proposal really focused more on process and application. This proposal from the OCC was much more in depth, comes in at just about 373 pages to be exact. Fortunately, it's 1.5 space, so it's not terrible. But when it gets into the Federal Register, it'll obviously be more condensed. Um, I have gone through the rule. I'm not going to go through it word for word with everybody because that would be silly. And so I wanted to kind of flip towards the back of the proposed rule where we see the language of the actual proposed rule that would be going into this, the Code of Federal Regulations, specifically Part 15 of the OCC's regs, which is for stablecoins, payment stablecoins. So what we see is really what we have traditionally seen in bank regulatory world, right? We see traditional perspectives on things like the application process, capital standards, liquidity issues, the asset definitions of stablecoins, who are the permitted stablecoin issuers definitionally, and so forth. So a lot more traditional from what we've seen with bank regulation. So we get subpart A, purpose, scope, definitions, all that good stuff. Subpart B is permitted payment stablecoin issuers, and then also state qualified payment stablecoin issuers. We get a whole section, subpart C, on custody. Subpart D is where we get the licensing and application piece. Subpart E is capital and operational backstop. Um, Really quick, going through kind of the basics, you see the typical type of definitions that you would see otherwise. Of course, we get another definition of control. Looks a lot like the definitions of control that we have in other regs, in Reg Y, Reg W, so forth, for 3 different aspects of control: 25% or more of the voting class securities, ability to control the majority of the directors, and then obviously the ability to exert a controlling influence after the regulator determines so. We get some definitions for digital assets: distributed ledger protocol, eligible financial institutions, foreign payment stablecoin issuers, federally qualified payment stablecoin issuers, um, permitted payment stablecoin issuers, and payment stablecoins, of course. We see in our subpart B, where they talk about the actual issuers. They have, the first section is 1510 activities, and they list out 7 specific activities with kind of an eighth, I'll say, catch-all that's along the lines of an incidental or something that quote unquote directly supports one of the other 7 activities. There's also an extensive list of prohibitions in terms of the activities. We see reserve assets, reserve requirements with respect to that. There's a couple of different options with respect to what their subpart A, paragraph C, is for asset diversification and classification. We have 2 options to consider there. There's a monthly composition template that has to be reviewed and provided every month and signed by CFO, CEO. Redemption requirements, redemption limitations, risk management issues, so on and so forth. Okay, so it's a very fulsome proposed reg. In case anyone is interested in commenting, there are so many different opportunities for comment in terms of not only different sections of this proposed reg and the preamble that's relevant for it, but really there's a whole section where the OCC has offered up specific questions. And for the benefit of the public providing comments, they've outlined and issued 211 such questions. So just in case anyone didn't know what to do this weekend and you are in bank regulatory land dealing with stable coins and or cryptocurrencies or digital assets, um, you can rest easy. There are 211 questions for you to consider and for your clients to consider. I'm going to stop there. I can't go through this whole thing, but it is going to be additional weekend attention from me and many of my counterparts, many of my friends and associates. Certainly look forward to outlining what is in this proposed regulation, in the upcoming episodes of Money and Banking Law podcast with Joe Sylvia, which you see behind me here. But until then, I will do my best to keep providing relevant information. And if you have any questions, you know where to get me, jsylvia@dwaynemorris.com. Otherwise, I look forward to talking to you all again soon. Thanks so much.